lampada, perché se togliamo questa parte qua diventa dritta.
My life and work there is a continuous. I had Sofia 6 years ago.
Bella questa matita.
And a certain moment I saw her the other day in home. She was doing the parodie, the parodia of the designer.
Allora noi gli possiamo rimettere la parte.
I can change it. No, but I can do it for you. But they just don't listen. I got it in the phone that moment because they are magical moments you get from them. Then me, I'm a big fighter. I was 12 years old. I began to say, I'm gonna be an architect. You know, this kind of a little bit boring child that knows what he wants. My father is a Basque, and he is the sensible side in my family. My mother was the logical one. No? Is a very tough and clever woman. She was always saying to us, we have to move a little bit like the white rabbit. What added to my life to choose to live in Milano. I began studying the big A of architecture, and Castiglione helped me to focus on the little D of design. We are here in the showroom de Padova. For me, it's the place where I learned more or less everything, and it's been nice the last years to continue doing things with them, as the collection of those tables, or this collection of chairs. The idea was to work in an essential way. Obviously, it's always working with molds, but giving to the pieces this very simplified language. When I began to work, I wanted only to work with Magistretti. And I found the way because Maddalena de Padova was really close to him. And they said, well, you make me work, I don't know, I clean the shop, I do anything, but I want to be nearby them. And after 1 month, Maddalena said to me, what do you want to do? Because I can't effort anymore with you in the shop. And so I want to go upstairs, in the ufficio tecnico, in the technical office, and help Magistretti. You know, as a woman, I was always thinking, perhaps I'm not going to have my own studio. I had a lot of energy. I was always giving my opinion to anyone. That's terrible because it's been always part of my character. I had possibly a lot of prejudices with myself. And then in the time I was working with Piero Lissoni, I began to do some of my things, and Patrizia Amoroso, she did one of my ideas, a sample sofa, and I got a certain credibility. And then I did another sofa that was strong in the market, and Piero said to me, Patri, I think you can open your own studio. And I opened my studio. We do a lot of work in these years. At the beginning we were 5 people, now we are 8, but no more than this. My education is as architect and designer. Then for me the boundary between those scales is quite natural. My friends, architects, they always say, oh, it's very comfortable that you can even do the items for your work. You know, I can do my handles or my tabs or furniture, and we did a lot of items, and even art pieces. My work of architecture gives me the possibility of getting energy for doing things in design. Mandarin Oriental for me was the first complex project I've done with my studio. It took for years. I'm open to interact with the best synergy with the people. For example, the Hotel W in Vieques, we share a lot of knowledge, and we reuse things we find on the place. They began to say to me, Architetto, we have this, is it a waste? We can throw it away, or you want it? And we reused a lot of little things. Me, I like a lot installations. You have to do a lot with temporal elements, not only spatial ones, and everything must be done with a lightness because it's going to be done only for a short time. You know, we are doing now an exhibition about time. The name is O'Clock. Me, I'm doing the installation more as an architect, in this case, for the Triennale of Milano. We were thinking with the curators, and we were sharing a lot of knowledge about the different items we were using for the exhibition and how to make people think about time. All the projects which are inside, they are in the boundary between art and design. We were doing an inquiry more about lived moments and not thinking only about time in a chronological way, as a quantity. We were more searching about time as quality.
Look at this, now you can really see it.
We created this capsule, this bag, this time machine, but it's made only with pieces that had another life before. This is a Lego for the last chair, all things that we had already.
Wow.
Then we put all together, very funny, and she's a little bit nostalgic, but it's absurd and it's poetic and it's plenty of little things.
It's your time machine.
See, I feel a little bit like her, no? To understand sustainability in any process you are doing related to industry as a designer is to understand the complexity, to think about what is the material and the technology we are using. For example, with the B&B, we've been proposing new sofas with a lot of quality. They are using the materials in a new way. For example, here the foam is multi-perforate. The idea was a collection, half of the price of a normal sofa for B&B. And it was the best seller in America.
It's amazing.
I try to do always experiments with the companies, different because each company needs possibly that we rethink certain things. The new project we are doing with Philippe, with I don't know how many items.
72?
72 pieces for doing more or less a collection.
Patricia really is the first woman I had the privilege to work with, and the perspective of not on the product design, but on how you use these products in the daily life is so different from all these men I was working before with.
The companies that they work in the highest level, they have to work on giving less water with a lot of quality.
She was talking about the vaporizzato, is the vaporized water.
Our rule is to move limits. Sometimes they are not only technological. We are moving prejudices and we are moving cultural elements, and I'm never happy enough.
Even if we don't succeed, we work very, very hard on it. How far can we go?
I don't want to listen at him. Okay. Even if we don't succeed, we didn't arrive till the end, and he still just say, that's the...
She has this amazing energy, incredibly quick, a lot of sending. She gives you so much.
So how would you describe your design?
I believe if I'm doing design about durability, if you put things on the market, they have to live. You have to give quality. Not only that, it must be done in a certain way that certain emotional values, they go inside. And then you get a little bit in love with it, and then you take care more about this chair than another one. And then someone nearby you will want it when you don't want it. And then all those cycles of life of certain items that other ones don't have. That's the thing I'm searching for.
Hey everybody, this is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design Magazine, and I am so excited to chat with my dear friend and extraordinary designer, Patricia Urquiola. Now, you just watched a film we produced quite a few years ago, so we're gonna fast forward and catch up, and actually I'm just missing you so much because normally we're at NeoCon together, right Patricia?
Yes, exactly today, which is we are at the end of the NeoCon week, no?
I know, I can't believe it. And like for everyone out there, to have such a powerhouse be at NeoCon, it's extraordinary, first of all. But you're the first person I always see, right?
Yes, I think you remember always. I was saying to you, perhaps was perfect to speak 1 week ago because was the moment I was ending because tendency I arrived to Chicago in this period, 15 days before the opening of NeoCon, and I am
doing anything, very physical work. I love, because a real physical moment, which in this moment, we have it in our mind, because was exactly the contrary. And at the end of these days so intense, you always arrive, and it's still quite cleaning, because it's something I like, and I share with all. I make all the managers, which if someone arrives from the company those days, they are cleaning with me. Then I love that, because I put everybody in a kind of, and you arrive always.
Yeah.
And I think, dear Cindy, you know what I was saying the other day, I miss strongly something that could be when your hugs. And I said to you, I'm not joking. I think I was reflecting yesterday, thinking about you, because I think we are a community. And at the end, now that we are in a digital moment where the communities are a little bit, dispersed on the air,
Totally.
a little bit frozen. We cannot be together and showing and speaking to each other.
I know.
You were a great communicator, and you were putting the community, and you were not only doing with your work, you were doing this with a kind of signature, which was your hug, and was not so only physical thing. It was something that someone who believes strongly in relation with others and in a community. Then I'm very proud to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Well, so for everybody out there, first of all, I'm so touched, but it's true that we get used to, that we're lucky to see one another, but we're used to that.
Chicago was for me a strong appointment of human relation, with Nazir Kazamali, that is a person that is really important for me, and this moment of having a conversation and participating of his presentation nearby Neocon, part of the city. Speaking with, I think the conversation with all of you was for me an important thing, a really important thing.
Yeah, well, for us,
we will do it. We are ready for the next year.
Totally. Yeah, you're my girl, and it's true. I miss you.
We are ready.
And Alberto, I always miss, miss seeing him and giving him a big hug. And Kurt, he's always the first first person that
helping.
Right, exactly. Well, so first of all, how are you doing? I know it's been extraordinarily hard. My family, my husband's family is Italian. They're up north. And they seem to be doing well, but you're right in the heart. Your young kids in the studio, how are they doing?
Well, we are speaking in a moment, which is we are in a phase 2. That we are open to big possibilities for future. Then we are really in another moment. We cross over because we were the first, and especially in Lombardy and Milan the beginning has been strongly deep, really. I think we are all connected. I know. And I love, for example, as Jenny Holzer was saying, and she was using that one of her statements, all things, I don't know if I say in a perfect way, but they are all delicately interconnected. I think it's not only that we are all interconnected in these circumstances, we are all delicately interconnected. This delicately, from Jenny Holzer, I think I love, because it's very intimate, the sensation of the fear, the problem, if you were not with a big problem, you were thinking about another one, or the other one was, I think our identity became a kind of multi-identity. And I think that kind of, I have a daughter who is 14 years old.
Yes.
And we always say, the digital side of Sophia, we know she's from Generation Z, I don't know how you say, but, and they are with a multi-identity, because, they have many ways to be themselves, even in a digital way. But I was saying, I was like, we were all, because I was me and the neighbor and the other and the people working with me. And I think possibly we have to cultivate now this idea of multi-identity. Gender is important, but racial, many arguments, we have to put them inside, and they are part of us. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is equal 1. Then it's a good thing. Very good thing. It's from John Baldessari, that opinion. I always loved his idea.
I love that. Well, So let's imagine, first of all, yes, that we are one. And I feel totally one with you, Patricia. I wish I could like fly over there and give you a big hug and be in the studio. But you do have, I mean, you still were working on a lot of products, so we can share some of them. We can act like we're at NeoCon in some weird digital virtual way. I know there were some special things that you designed this year, and one was in honor of one of your teachers.
Yes, a fantastico. That is but it is kind like a kind of mushroom in the dark of the forest. Because I am a big friend of Giulio Capellini, and I know him for a long time. And from my last 8 years or 7 years experience with the Hayworth Group, Giulio was inside all this adventure, and we really began to have a better relation, because I met him many years ago when I was working with Piero Lissoni in one of my first works. And Giulio was already inside my life. And we really began to speak about the project I was doing, the thing he was doing. We did some experiences. But this year, just before, I think, just the quarantine, in the last months, we said we are going to do a kind of a swivel chair. It's going to be, but we are going to do, we were in winter, and we had, this winter kittel jackets. We said,
the down padded coats,
And we said, as we like those kind of new ways of covering ourselves and use, and in great way, we are going to think of a swivel chair with the same way. We're going to do a very simple shape inside, and then we are going to do a dress which is going to be the whole value of a seat that is so gently cozy around you, and it's going to be a technical piece, and we have to give a kind of a dimension, very concrete and very fantastic conversation. Became real. Became real, and we did it inside COVID situation. Then
which is kind of crazy, right?
Skype. And then the man was in his home, then was coming back to the company, but then I couldn't see it, and they were seeing digital things. Then they sent me the first dress, and I get inside like a coat, and I was then we were really trying to be human in the relation of the process that was a little bit unhuman, very complicated, and we got it. Then I'm very happy about that.
I know.
SANDOW is a fantastic thing that is coming out of, I am art director in Cassina. Cassina is a company that takes, I think, strongly my energy in my work here in my city. Because I have to defend, I have to continue to understand how to be sustainable in a new way, how to have a connection with legacy, that the company has been always interconnected, but we have to make it always contemporary, how to make it move, how to make it evolve continuously. Then there are a lot of arguments, and we are doing new product, that is part of, a big of pockets of my mind that are related to that. But that thing came out, like tuck, and a little thing that comes on the forest, but beautiful and strong. And then with Hayworth, I have a strong relation that we share for years in product, in spaces, in discussions. I love the day that I have a kind of intuition and I don't agree with something, and I call even the fantastic Franco, and I call the family, or I call someone, I call Kurt, I say, no, that's not a call, or WhatsApp, I call, because we have WhatsApp. We have a lot of WhatsApp, even sometimes complaining, discussing, and this means that we have a strong relation, very familiar.
Yes, I love that.
Familiar.
I love that. Wait, I have to say, a couple things. So first of all, I saw the chair digital first. So I saw it digital first. And then I kept like querying, like, is there a real one yet? Is there a real one? And I saw one, it was amazing. Now, it's kind of crazy, right? That it's coming at a time where we want to kind of be protected, right?
Yes, it's exactly like that.
It's so perfect. And I think you should design a jacket. Patricia, go with it.
Well, I've done. If you take out the dress and you put it in the jacket, that is because obviously we always translate things to the media that we feel comfortable. Yes. There's a project which is really little architecture, because I think I think it's in an argument now. I think more and more those open spaces where we have to sometimes we can do offices or spaces for working and living. We need to break always this grid to break those spaces, and we have to break in many ways. Like just putting just a little atmosphere of a sitting room or a kind of micro coffee bar, you just break. But to create some real physical little architectures with louvers, sometimes with curtains, sometimes more or less open, was an argument we wanted to do.
Right, so that's the pergola. Is that the Hayward?
This is pergola.
Yeah.
Then is pergola. I didn't see it ended. Then you see what I love from when you speak with someone working in project is for me exists completely, but we couldn't see it physically, by the moment. But the dimension was to discuss with them with a structure of aluminium, working with louvers in aluminium, and something using part of wooden elements, using a new kind of fabrics and materials that can be absorb the sound and to be open to create some new abilities in this space. I think we like the idea to give to the environment a new kind of a new dimension. And
it's funny.
It was very geometrical pieces with different things, little, big, but they could be divided inside, not divided inside, used in many ways. A lot of work. Then, well, here we are.
We haven't really seen anything like this before. And it's also very tight.
We are not getting what should be, but we really dream it. These kind of little architectures inside other architectures, and I think we dream it together from both sides. I think we really found a way to interact and to suffer, even because there were moments I remember in December saying, "No, that's impossible." And there was another meeting 15 days after, or a digital meeting, because we use a lot of a digital connection and works very well. Huh?
I have to say, and for people out there who are all over the world who may be watching, the relationship you've had with Hayworth has been a really beautiful one and long lasting. And as you said, like as they've bought companies, you've made sure that as every neocon, that everything starts to feel like it's part of one family, as you keep mentioning. And I remember last year being really, really stunning, but I do really want to see these architectural, I want to see the pergolas.
Me too, because that is the only strange situation we are living, because really we have the project, and the project is really advanced, it's done, but there is no location to share with others physically. We are doing even in Casina a little exhibition, which is when you get inside the space, you cross a kind of a small, a deeper space where there are a few pieces that we are showing. Then you get another time in the space that we are giving a little homage.
It's
an incredible man.
Is it there? Is it there, Patricia, or not?
It's gonna be. That is gonna be physical. I don't know how many people could touch and get connected, but it's gonna be. We are ending now at the end of the month. Like we are doing. We are creating our showroom and preparing for.
Oh, good! I'm so glad. Patricia, are you going to go over to? I heard the Il Serrano, the hotel. Is it opening up again?
Il Sereno is an hotel I've done in the Lake of Como. No, a few years ago, we really deep close to my heart, because really they let me do what I wanted, and then when they let you do what you want, you do the things finally well. Then I was really proud about this experience, and I'm very connected with the family. They did it, and they say no, we are not. It's only the lake always open, always in summertime. It is for 6, 7, 8 months. It's a period. It's not the whole year. Then they would say impossible. Then all the lake was closed for all the summer, and we were already with this idea, and then we got with a mentality that was, and then now they all began to create a net in between all of them, and they decided to open, and a few hotels are open. This hotel is open, and everything changed. Then we have to take energy of these new energies. We need to change a little bit, even the state of mind. I hope they are going to open with, I think, growing even themselves because they are going to have less time and they are doing an effort, then I think it's going to be a fantastic. I want to be with them at the beginning because to put them, brave, the medal and say, bravo.
That's what I was wondering. I was
thinking not to stop on your path. That
right.
is good.
Exactly. So, Patricia, are there any other products that are coming out? I hear you have something with CC Tapis. You have the patch up?
CC Tapis. I had relation with GAN and CC Tapis, two companies which are people that they are so human and so intelligent, and they do, but they are working in far away from Italy. Then they had to do double, triple, 4 times more effort to end the prototype. They are arriving this weekend, the first prototypes, and they said to me, come and see with us Monday, the whole pieces. I only had one prototype that arrived at the end of quarantine. I don't know how, that was something coming from Mars. And now we are gonna see them, and we got the beginning. Then it's really, I think anyone who's doing a new thing now, obviously, there is a lot of cynicism. We know that a lot of people will think, things will come back. Possibly, we don't know future.
We don't know.
Possibly, we are going to do worse, good, I don't know. But I think things are, we have to fight for a new normal. That is obvious. Then I think I have relation with people, they are trying that. And I want to believe that this is going to be always a little space to grow up in our attitude to our work. Then let us always grow from our problems. No, I think.
Absolutely. Well, we depend on you, Patricia, too.
And we depend all in between us.
Totally.
Interrelations. We depend on that.
I do feel very.
And you create a strong relation with me. That is a nice thing.
Thank you.
I
do feel
brava. Molto brava.
You too.
Brava.
The whole world wants to know about
but I say sincerely.
I know, me too. I wish I was there. Give Alberto a big hug. Boy, are we gonna enjoy NeoCon next year, right? We really.
And I hope a lot of young girls take energy from the double personality which is coming from you, the double Cindy. Then girls, there is a lot to do.
Exactly, and we're throwing all that good energy.
Our values too. Any minority has to grow in this moment. We have to all understand to revalue the way we even look at ourselves. I'm thinking a lot about working at home, which is an argument that Maxi gave me as an argument to put a few posts and to do it's a project. I don't want to explain a lot because when I don't want to explain, I say always. That means I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking there is a lot to increase and to make grow working at home, especially for women, I think.
I think so too, and I think maybe we had always.
But we did always, but we have to enhance it
it's okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I think there used to be a lot of guilt in some ways associated with it, but now it's completely different, and now we're free to.
We have to be a fantastic example in how we mix up many things.
Certainly, I always appreciate you and everything you do for the whole design world. We need your leadership, Patricia, and we love you so much. And send my love to Alberto and your children and your whole team.
Thank you, that you say ancora. Thank you very much. Thank you to
love you, Patricia.
Ciao, veramente.
Ciao.
Interior Design is excited to introduce Launch, a new feature right inside the magazine that's built around the smartphone. Just point your phone at a launch code and it will activate a powerful, intuitive user interface. Launch will help you discover the newest products in the market and easily take action. Now, keep your eye out for it. We are loving Launch.
I'm Helene Oberman, Managing Director of Interior Design Magazine, and I'd like to welcome you to Product Tour. This is our series that delves into the products and trends grabbing the industry and in real time looking at the minds behind the design. Today, we are here to define what sets Sunbrella Contract apart from other textile brands in the market and to educate the design community about the evolution of the brand. While almost 10 years strong, it stems from a legacy of mindful manufacturing and design-driven product development. And with that, I'd love to welcome Catherine Minervini, A&D Regional Manager for Sunbrella Contract. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Helene, and thank you to Interior Design Magazine. We're really excited to be a part of this.
No, absolutely. I mean, we still want to be able to connect. It's a shame we can't all be in person, but thank you for the virtual world, correct?
Yeah, I think we're all getting kind of good at this now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it would be really great to almost start at the beginning, right? And so, as I mentioned, Sunbrella Contract really does be sort of in its infancy from where it stems from. Mm-hmm. It really does come from sort of a long line of products and of a great company and parent company.
Yes. So Sunbrella Contract is part of Sunbrella, and Sunbrella is a brand that was launched by Glen Raven in 1961. And Glen Raven has a very long history of textiles. They started in about 1880 and have made textiles. And in the 60s, or I guess in the late 50s, they started to really look at how to reinvent the cotton awning. And that technology is how Sunbrella was built and launched. So I like to point that out because I don't like the community to think that Glen Raven purchased Sunbrella and now owns it. It really is their brand that they created. And I think that's really important because they have so many different facets of textiles. And so to be able to constantly come up with new technologies and invent and launch new innovations is really important. So Sunbrella was really a solution to cotton awnings and how could they create a product that would be longer lasting. But a couple little fun facts. They did invent panty legs, which are now pantyhose, so that's pretty cool. And during the World Wars, they were one of the biggest producers of parachute fabric. So I think that those are always really interesting. It really kind of shows their legacy of textiles and innovation and kind of always pushing things to the next level. So I think that's always like a fun tidbit.
Well, I always think another fun fact, another tidbit that you didn't mention was that Glen Raven is actually on the moon, correct?
That's correct. When the man went on the moon, they put the flag that is up on the moon was made from a Glen Raven facility.
Well, we all know that Glen Raven and the Sunbrella brands have really weathered a lot of issues over the last 140 years, whether it's a world war, and they've always really been able to maintain their integrity and their service to the design community and really to the greater world at large. And a lot of that comes from this mantra that you have of mindful manufacturing. And what does that exactly mean to Sunbrella and Sunbrella Contract?
I think it's something that's really part of our heritage. We've always had a strong focus on sustainable manufacturing. And so we're really looking from fiber to fabric. We're really watching that whole cycle and looking to see where we can make improvements, and how we can work with outside vendors for raw materials. So quality, what are their practices, and really looking at taking a holistic approach to all of these different facets when it comes to mindful manufacturing or manufacturing in general, to make sure that we're very thoughtful, we're very mindful, and we are engaging in sustainable practices whenever we absolutely can. So it's really something we've been doing for quite some time, whether it's reducing waste or sending no waste to the landfill, using solar array panels. We have them at a couple of our facilities in the US, or working on something like a Recycle My Sunbrella program.
No, I think you guys really are attentive to the manufacturing process and really to its effect on the environment overall. And I know that's a real big tenet and a brand mission for Sunbrella and Sunbrella Contract.
also all of our Sunbrella awning and upholstery fabrics are solution dyed. So even in that process alone, it's a given that there's a lot less water being used than conventional dyeing processes. So, and then of course, creating a long-lasting fabric so that hopefully it lasts in the marketplace a lot longer than just being thrown out or falling apart. So I think that all of these different processes and all of these different attributes really really give us our sense of mindful manufacturing, creating a very high quality product that's going to last.
And on trend.
And on trend, of course.
Do you also have something in place for sort of the consumers and the end users to also help with the recycling program?
We do. We have a Recycle My Sunbrella. That is made up of pre and post-consumer waste. So remember, we're working with so many different channels out there, whether it's an umbrella company and it's an outdoor furniture company, it's an indoor furniture company. And so when those manufacturers are producing their end products, right, their final products, any of that waste, they're able to send to us. And then we use that waste to recycle. So a lot of it is on the pre-consumer part, but we do offer it to consumers. So if they have a sofa at home and they want to toss it, they can recycle that fabric and send it to us.
Okay. So it's interesting because I always think Sunbrella contract, it all begins what one might consider just sort of a simple fiber, but really within that fiber, it represents a lot of inherent traits that really help define the brand.
Yes. And this, I mean, there's a couple things here, right? So that's where one of the biggest questions we get is what makes this bleach cleanable? What makes this UV and fade resistant? And we always take it back to the fiber, because I think where people get a little confused is they think, and there might be other companies out there that are producing a finish, but we're not doing that. It really starts at the fiber level. So the fade resistancy, the UV and fade resistance, the bleach cleanability, and the mold and mildew resistancy is all because of the fiber. And so it's our proprietary formulation, which we work closely with vendors to produce that. So it's always consistent. We're always looking at the quality of that, and never changes. And so we say from fiber to finish, and that's really kind of that's our motto.
So it's interesting because you kind of touched on it, because obviously Sunbrella has a history of being an outdoor textile brand. But I think this conversation, we really want to help change sort of the focus for the design community, and really have them understand that Sunbrella contract was really sort of founded to help meet the performance of commercial interiors, correct?
That's absolutely correct. We've been able to take all of this technology and all this innovation that we know, really from that awning. Let's go back to the early 60s, in 1961 when it was launched. It started out in awnings, and we parlayed into from that we were able to get into the marine industry. So boat covers and bimini covers and boat cushion covers. And then we took that and went into outdoor furniture, like patio furniture. And then we started really looking at the interior, so on the residential side. And then it wasn't until about 2011 where we actively went after the contract market and said, what do we need to develop in order to play in this market? And so what I love about that story is that it's just taking that innovation and refining it and looking at what you need to add and what do you need to play in that market. And it's gone from all these different markets. So we have all this knowledge from each one of them, what works, what doesn't work, and what can we make better. For the contract side, we had to look at a lot of different things, right? We had to look at, first of all, aesthetic. You can't have like a scratchy, outdoor, stiff, 100% acrylic fiber for an indoor commercial interior. So we had to really look at what do we need to develop to get refined patterns and textures and looking like a soft hand. It has to be sophisticated, right? These are the things that designers expect from a textile for commercial interiors. And then we had to go through really rigorous testing according to the ACT performance guidelines. So we've always been a high performing product, but for commercial interiors, as we know, we really need to hit flammability testing and seam slippage, abrasions, right? That's always a really big question for us. What are the abrasions on this? And that's really something we are really trying to shift that conversation to not just thinking of us for outdoor, but going to us first for an indoor-outdoor fabric that really has all of these. I mean, it's a bigger package of what you really need for this market.
Well, certainly performance, to your point, is really key to what is happening in commercial interiors. But do you feel like there's a shift in the conversation, especially with your clients now, given this specific time period? And are they looking for, more specific attributes than just performance?
Yeah, I also think, I was thinking about this earlier when I was making notes for today, and I was thinking, after a while, some of these words become buzzwords, right? And I think what's happening now is designers are really wanting to know more about what high performance means, right? Because we're even using it on the residential side, right? On the consumer side. So they start to get a little overused, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that we start to use all these buzzwords, right? And it's bleach cleanable. Well, what does that exactly mean? And something I always like to say is, well, you really could probably get most stains out with soap and water. The bleach, it is, you can use bleach on our fabrics, but it really, I think that's where the conversations are going now. They're a little bit more nuanced, right? So we're out there teaching designers about not just abrasions, not just about 100,000 double rubs, but does it meet pill standards? And what is the cleanability factor here? What does that mean that it's bleach cleanable? And what about, especially now, what about other disinfectants and cleaners? How do they affect your fabric? So the conversation has gotten a little richer, a little bit more robust around that phrase, high performance. And so I think that designers are, even though we have all this information to hand out to them, they're asking those questions now. And I think that's sort of the difference. It's not so much that the priorities have changed, it's understanding each one of those priorities a little deeper, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I think it's interesting because you guys have a product and you are a brand that has always had those attributes that I think are really important right now and very key to like the conversations that are happening for how designers are going to design spaces moving forward. And I think you're just in that process, obviously, of educating that, like, you've already been there and you've already been a great service to the community, and and you can continue to do so. But, high performance, or is it cleanability, or if it,
Well, I think, to your point, we haven't had to change anything, right? We might have to communicate it differently. So now designers are asking all kinds of questions about antimicrobial and how is it cleaned and how can it be disinfected and how can it be sanitized? I mean, all these words are different, right? So we have it all. We already have it, right? We haven't had to change our technology or add anything to it. We are always looking at different innovations, like innovative technologies to add to it, depending on what the market needs are, what the market might be asking for. Or maybe it's something we have in development from another industry that we're seeing, can this be used over here, and what does that look like? And what does the design community need from this attribute that might enhance a fabric? So that's something we're always looking at. But I think that that we've had all this technology, we've had all this knowledge, and it's always been available. It's just that we're disseminating it a little bit differently now. And that's what's really cool. I mean, I think that's part of the collaborative process, and I think we're using the word collaborative a little differently too. In other words, to me, collaborative means you ask questions, I'm asking questions, and we're both vetting different ideas and processes and product information, and how do we, as a brand and as a manufacturer, how do we really support the brand partners that we make product for? How do we support the design community on the information that they need? And so we don't just know that, we have to ask a lot of questions. We have to go back to our internal teams and say, this is what we need out there, and this is how we have to package it. So it's a pretty interesting time, I think. And like I said, everybody's sort of diving in a little deeper to some of these conversations, and everything has a little bit of a different meaning, right? They've always been there, but they just have different meanings.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely shifted from, you know, maybe more of a monologue from a company being like, this is who we are, and this is what we offer. To your point, it really needs to be a dialogue.
Exactly.
And I think because especially we're sort of in a little bit of a great unknown, because I think we're in this gathering information phase, so that I think moving forward, we're going to need to know whether it's the manufacturers, whether it's the designers, whether it's the media. Like, I think we all need to, first of all, be completely open with, and like, no one should withhold information. Like, we really should use this opportunity to really explore what's happening in the design community, in the world at large, and figure out together how we can together and move forward. And so ultimately that we come up with the best design. And
like, there's no stupid question, there's no stupid idea, right? It's like, let's try it. Let's put it out there this way. Let's see what comes back. They might ask another question. And so we're all kind of inspiring each other with information. It's pretty interesting.
It definitely is. But I know you touched on collaboration, certainly. And, you know, Sunbrella Contract is really at the heart of who you are great collaborators, because you have these amazing partnerships with textile brands with whom you work, and really design these great collections that have all the inherent traits that are very much Sunbrella and Sunbrella Contract, and sort of married with some of these sort of aesthetics that each of your partners bring to these collections.
Right. So we're set up very differently. We are our own brand, but we also partner with 27 different textile brands. And so we're making product for them based on what their needs are. So that the collaborative experience there is, we manufacture the product, all their designs, they're proprietary to them. So it's really about what their needs are for their collection, their brand, whatever their gaps are, wherever they might want to offer an indoor-outdoor product or a very high-performing product. So we have those conversations with them, and then we produce product for them. So I think we have over 1,500 SKUs out there across 27 different brands. And that's been really great, because those brands are inspiring us, right? They're asking us, well, what else can you do? What else can you make? Can you make this texture? Can you make this pattern? It's forced us to expand our color bank. And again, like I was saying earlier, really figure out how to create these sophisticated, refined patterns that the commercial interior design industry really expects. So that's how that works. Our job as Sunbrella Contract is to help the design community navigate where the brand is, who's got products, and how they can find us. So that's really where our team comes in, and we're really here as a support to all of our brand partners, teaching them more about our fiber, our manufacturing processes, and so it arms them with some more information to go out to the design community.
Why don't we go through some of these great partnerships that you do have?
So we work with 27 different textile brand partners, as I just said, and we really value these relationships. Some of them would be, we work with Stinson, Carnegie, Wolf Gordon, Design Tex, Meyer Fabrics, Maharam. In fact, we have some new products just launched the past few months with Carnegie. I think we have a product called Parade with Carnegie, and Wanderlust with Pollock. And then in Neocon, or virtual Neocon, I guess, Stinson is featuring their new Balance collection, which is made with our Assure technology. And so that is a new environmentally, sustainably developed, fluorine-free finish.
You know, someone like Stinson, and I know with the new Assure technology, you know, maybe the mindset is it's for the healthcare industry or health and wellness, but are you just seeing in general, and maybe it's too early on in your conversations with your designers, are they looking to sort of that industry to help lead them into what may be happening in terms of workplace or hospitality and some of these other sort of contract sectors?
Yeah, I think, Assure was really developed as a solution for a healthy hospital initiative. And so that, yes, that was the inspiring, defining moment for that. But I think you're right. I think that we're really going to start to look at cues from the healthcare industry to help some of these other spaces, and what does it mean as far as visually what they look like. I think that cleaning programs are going to get much more aggressive and robust and frequent. And I think that's where designers are really going to rely on high-performing products. I mean, there is the bleach cleanability part of it, of course, but also they're going to have to do a lot more research on different types of disinfectants and surface cleaners that are out there. So I think that, yes, I think that something else that I've heard is that designers are looking at clean air programs with HVAC systems. And so there's really this holistic approach to looking at a space from air to a textile. And I think what's great for us is we've had, like I said, we've had this knowledge. We haven't had to change much, but we are looking at different types of technologies to incorporate or as added benefits, such as something like Assure. But yeah, I think the healthcare industry is definitely going to spend some time influencing a lot of decisions in every space.
So what trends have you been seeing in the marketplace? And do you feel that those will change throughout the next year, given the current situation in the world?
Well, obviously cleanability has been a big hot topic, and it's always a hot topic, but I think that we're really digging into that conversation a little deeper, right? So we talked about this a little bit earlier. We're learning more about, we've got all this knowledge to share with the design community, but also they're asking us a lot more specific and nuanced questions. And so we're making sure that we have all of that information to share with them, or we might have to go get it and repackage that. So that's one thing. Depending on the space, the designer, the end user, antimicrobial is another kind of thing that seems to come up. Some designers are like, no, we don't specify anything antimicrobial for our space, and some people want that. It depends on the client and the end user. And then again, this is something that we're having conversations around. When is it right? And helping designers vet these applications and understand what they're asking, right? I think that the combinations and the offerings are endless for us, so it's always hard, depending on the market segment, what designers might be looking at right now. Like I said earlier, maybe finishing up projects that were all in progress, keeping the balls rolling and kind of moving along there. And then something that of course, our products are UV and fade resistant. And I think where this is very important is that I think natural light has been another big, in some places, considered an amenity in a workplace or a healthcare facility or even hospitality. I don't think that's going to go away. I think natural light is going to consistently be incorporated. It really does help with the wellness of a space, the well-being of a space. If in the workplace they have access to natural light, that's considered an amenity in some instances. And so that's where designers are really going to need products that can stand up. So it's great for the environment, for the workers and the people inhabiting those spaces, but it's going to wreak havoc on those furnishings. And so I think that we're looking at more fade resistant products in general. And then something else that I think is a trend, or will continue to be a trend, is really indoor activities used in outdoor spaces. So it could be a meeting space, it could be a learning space like a classroom, especially in areas of the country where climate is not an issue. But I think we're even going to see it pop up during parts of the year in places like the Northeast or in the Midwest, where we can use open air spaces as part of feeling healthy and also feeling safe, right? People have to feel safe getting back. I know in our own town here, they're looking at closing some of the streets downtown so that restaurants can get the capacity up for their guests. And so using these outdoor venues as real indoor activities. Of course, we have awning and shade material, but we also have upholstery. So they can still get that same sense of warmth and a tactile kind of experience, but also not worry about. So I think that these are some of the things, these are the trends that we're going to see in the marketplace.
That's great. Well, I definitely see it even here in New York City, where like they are having those same conversations about how to bring things outside, especially as we move into the summertime. So it will be interesting to see sort of the long term moving forward, and how designers are sort of shifting their approach to design and certainly taking indoor activities to the outdoors. What were the big takeaway from obviously our conversation is that this needs to be an ongoing dialogue with the community as a whole, and that we all have to sort of educate and work together, and that, you know, we all offer services that can help sort of move us forward in a way, and that all starts with a simple conversation, which we've had today. And I really appreciate your time, and
Thank you.
Really telling everyone about what Sunbrella Contract is as a brand, what you stand for, what are the traits, and really that you have always been there, and that like you really are here to help support the community and what their needs are. Because right now, obviously, we know so much is changing for what the new sort of commercial market's going to look like.
Yeah, and we really value our relationship with the design community, all of our brand partners, and they're going to teach us as much as we're going to teach them. And I think that's what's going to help us kind of get through this, and also realize some all kinds of new things. I mean, something we talk about, we have a CEU called Tying in Textiles to Meet Demands in a Changing World, and this was actually designed right. It was approved right before everything happened with COVID, but something at the end of it really talks a lot about where fabrics are going to go, and fabric technology is going to go in the future. And so it'll be interesting to see if some of that sort of pushes it along a little quicker. And so I think we're all in this together between our brand partners and designers asking, and us coming up with new technologies. How do those all sort of converge together, and where does it take us? So, you know, new innovations always come out of, new things are always invented out of real tragedies, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is a silver lining if there is ever one, correct?
Yes.
No, but I think it'll make things better for the future. And, you know, I really appreciate that. And to our audience, you know, certainly check out Sunbrella Contract, all their new offerings that they have with all their great partners, whether it's Wolf Gordon or Prolic. And Catherine, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Helene. It was so good to see you. Say hello to everyone at Interior Design.
Absolutely. And, you know, keep Asbury Park warm for me.
Oh, I'll do my best. Thank you. You have to come visit.
I know.
We're taking this drive here. Get here, we pass the small barns, we go up the path. My heart started beating fast. Giving that kind of emotion to buildings, not everybody does that.
No. I think whether it's a small building or a large, often, among other things, it's how you go from here to there. Whether you're doing an Apple store or High Meadow, you're dealing with people's spirit. So this bridge brings us across the stream and then puts us behind the building. And then you move into the building. And it's typical, right, you know, thinking of the sequence.
All those things you were saying about the senses are right here.
There is something, a debt that we all have to right, in that thinking about the natural world is a worthy thing. But also, he was a freaking good architect. And he would think about getting from here to there. These catch the breeze, they come through, and look at this, there you are.
Yeah, you see right outside.
Out in the forest. And then again here, we are ventilating.
Hello.
From the beginning, doing small things has taught us to make places that are more comfortable for people.
Yeah.
We've been doing playgrounds since the beginning of our careers.
I love that.
Which is 52 years now. We've been doing buildings like for the Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts?
For cooking money. We were making rather magical places for people.
It seems like it's a fun journey for you. It seems like you're having a good time.
Most of the time. And the truth is, why would you do it otherwise? I don't think you just come naturally with it all, but you're searching for what is potent and feels right. And if you're not searching, that's too bad, right? You should be searching.
Hello, I'm Helene Oberman, Managing Director of Interior Design Magazine, and I'd like to welcome you to Product Live. This is our series that looks at the products and trends grabbing the industry and in real time looking at the minds behind the design. Today, we're going to look at two great new introductions, the Buzzy Planter and the Buzzy Jet Standing from our friends at BuzziSpace. And I'd like to welcome Steve Simons, Creative Director and CEO of BuzziSpace, calling all the way from Belgium. Welcome so much for being here. We're so excited to have you on.
Thank you.
So I have to say, as a company, BuzziSpace seems to have always had its pulse or its finger on the pulse of what is happening in workplace design. I know when you started the company in 2007, I mean, you obviously saw a very specific need in terms of what was happening in the office setting. Can you sort of explain the driving force of why you just started BuzziSpace and obviously the focus on acoustical products?
Yes, absolutely. So the reason why we started BuzziSpace was when we started it, at the same time we had another company, and it was called TechnoSpace, where we did the traditional partition systems for offices, the wall systems, drywalling, but also a lot of glass walls. And in the beginning, it was only drywalls with a door and a little glass panel, and it evolved to a complete glass fishbowl, where acoustics became very, very irritating for people. There was a lot of reverberation, there was a lot of reflections of noise. So people had a problem. For our customers, we went to the market ourselves to find, or to try to find solutions which were like efficient, good looking, and also affordable. And in the end, we realized that nothing was there on the market available. So the only option for us was to start producing it ourselves. But we wanted to give it from day one an extra twist, and that was thanks to our initial designer, Sas Adriases, who came up with the felt, which was 100% recycled PET bottles in 2007, I have to say. It was never used for interior or for any product that was visible, because it came from the automotive industry already, but it was put in between two sheets of metal. And we were the first also to bring it as a finished product with a stable color and color set. And then from there on, we started our company.
I mean, I really honestly feel like you guys were the first to really think about acoustical and felt. And, you know, it's obviously as the world of workplace design was really shifting to open plan, it became more and more necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that you guys have this mantra, which is happy and healthy workspaces. What exactly does that mean for you and for the Buzzy brand?
I think it's a very important, and if not the only and the most important fact about our company. We try to have fun, to be fun, and also to make sure that people are able to buy fun products for their offices. But on top of that, it's also like good products which make sense for the office.
And certainly you practice what you preach, and it's incorporated into all the Buzzy spaces like where you are right now in Belgium.
We try. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the idea of healthy though, and healthy living is really important right now, and health and wellness is going to be, it already has been, but will become in the forefront of what workplace design is. I know that one tenet of a healthy workspace is biophilia. And it's really been found to reduce stress, enhance creativity, clarity of thought, improve well-being, expedite healing. And with that, we'd love for you to go into one of your first introductions, which of course is right behind you, the Buzzy Planter.
Yes, that's on is it my right, so your left. I don't know if it's like the picture. So yes, indeed. So don't forget, it's already our third product in biophilia. So we were even producing and preaching the biophilia before the word came out. First, we had our printed skin, which we had a lot of greens and a lot of jungle prints. After that, we had, as you remember, 2 years ago already, we came up with the reindeer moss in a product that was designed by our friend Corey Grosso. And now we said, okay, let's go one step further, because what is another place where we still can add some acoustics to a room? And then all of a sudden it was like the aha moment, and we said a planter. Also maybe because I needed planters for my home as well.
Well, but of course, I mean, I know you just touched on it, but you know, the Buzzy Planter still has a duality of function, because all of your products, so it's both a planter, but it's still very much part of an acoustical product that will help in, you know, open spaces in the workplace.
Yes, and so it's not only for acoustics, but because we have also done a lot of now tests with the product itself. And as you see on this side, so the yellow one is already high, depending on what kind of plant you put in it. It's also a perfect wayfinder, but it's also a new way of partitioning the office. Today, especially with COVID-19, people will have to get new ways of walking down the alleys of the office. So I think that also there we can do three things. And we bring biophilia in the office, we have acoustics, and also it makes the flow in the corridors and easier to understand. Instead of putting all these little arrows in plastic on the floor, you can create a natural flow with natural elements. Yes.
And be more dynamic about it too, in terms of how you design wayfinding in a space.
Absolutely, but again, we give the ingredients and we let the originality and also the dynamics to our users, being the architects and the interior designers and also specifiers. Yes, absolutely.
So you want the designers to come up with the recipe. You give the ingredients, they come up with the recipe.
Exactly. You know, they have to do things with our products that we didn't even realize that was possible. So that's what we like about being in a direct contact with those people, because they give us also good new ideas.
I mean, so you're always in touch with designers. I mean, you're listening to what their needs are and sort of taking that, and then obviously coming up with new products such as Buzzy Planter. So, I mean, I think any brand has to be sort of open to that.
But it's also coming from my personal interest, I think, because it's not only designers in our business, but I like also fashion designers. Not that I'm wearing a lot of fashion, but I like what is happening there, especially for new colors, trends coming up. Also in the automotive sector, again, there is so much more into design. For example, all the new cars that are now coming up on the market, even new trucks, whatever. Look at Tesla, what they did with the new pickup van. So there is a lot of things that you can find out there, not only, and especially not only in the sector that we are working. Absolutely. But it's a challenge. No.
I mean, we certainly feel the same way. I mean, design, it's design with a capital D, but whether it's interior design, fashion design, it's all sort of falls in this world of creativity, and there should definitely be a lot of crossover, and there is.
Yes.
But, you know, you touched on something in terms of color, which I've always really admired BuzziSpace, because you guys have been really fearless sometimes in the colors that you use. And how do you develop what I like to deem the Buzzy palette?
We wanted to stand out, and that was the time 2007, 2008, 9, 10, when there was this other crisis coming up. We wanted to stand out with products in vivid colors, and we tried at that time. It was also the flashy green that we did, even the pink, the oranges, so that were the first colors, and that was to stand out. I think today we have a complete team of internal interior designers and product developers, and they have such a great taste in the palette. They go out themselves. So it's like a combination of what all the people come with. And now when we try to be just before the trend, like for example, with the velvets, also there, it was coming, I believe it was from the fashion industry, already using it. And we have a lot of fashionistas in the company. So they came up with the idea, why not try it on furniture? And yes, BuzziSpace is the one to try it out. Remember, it was in 2010, 2011 when we did it with the plaid. Remember? It was our first show for Neocon, and then we had all the Buzzy hoods in all different plaids made in a little mill in the UK. So it was, we try, and we fail sometimes with errors, but it's always fun.
Well, but it's not always just about color. I mean, a lot of times it's also about the scale. I know you said the planters come in a lot of different sizes, but also in terms of some of the other pieces, like your second introduction, which is Buzzy Jet Standing, which is right above your head, of course. And, you know, it's interesting because you mentioned car design, and there is sort of a very aerodynamic design that comes out of this Buzzy Jet Standing, correct?
Yes. So the jet standing, it comes from our other jet, which is like, it was a pendant. And there it's very important to say that we were lucky to have almost today a complete team of Philips, of the Philips group, who were working in the neighborhood of where we are based. Also Eindhoven is close. So, and since they were closing down factories and companies in their group, we were able to do the cherry picking and to find the best people coming from there with a lot of experience, and that we were able to hire and to bring into our company. We really minimum, we invested 2 years in starting to get to understand the lighting business. So creating new products, always like with the extra touch of acoustics. And only after 2 years, we decided to launch big time, and then it was an immediate hit. And I am also very proud to say that the most of the products that are successful are also in-house designed. So there also we are very, very proud and happy and healthy.
Yeah, so we know that designers really love both sort of versatility and flexibility, and I think the Buzzy Jet Standing offers that because it can be moved around given any sort of space. And you know, it'll be interesting to see moving forward how flexible, even more so, workspaces have to become.
Yes, because last year we started to promote it. I did a tour with our own regional sales managers throughout the US, and we started to show some renders of this product, and really everybody was in love with the product. There are beautiful features, also little accents. So the cable is, you can choose colors. So if you want to make an extra accent of color, also there again, it's possible, feasible, and we let it again to our customers to make it as crazy as possible. Yeah.
I know that you're always out there, and I think a lot of the Buzzy team are out there really listening to what the needs are. Do you know, and have you already seen sort of a shift in the conversation in terms of what's going to be needed for the future workplace?
I think the biggest question is, what is the future workplace? I think the first 2 weeks, everybody was like, oh no, working from home. And already today, people are getting used to it, including myself. I think the future of the office, I think it will be more like the trophy place where people can come together, when it's allowed to be closer together, to more intimate, to have more an exchange of ideas, more like an idea tank, rather than a place where there is like just to work. Because I believe that the way how we work today is very efficient. Going from one meeting into the other with all the Zooms and the Teams and all the others that now exist, it's very efficient. On the other hand, of course, there is not enough time anymore to have a nice chat at the coffee machine. So that's something that people are missing. And I believe that will be the office of the future, maybe. That the place where you can come happy and healthy together to have these conversations that are not done anymore via this kind of communication, via the online communication, because it's like really, you go in a meeting, there is no time anymore for the chit chat, and it's immediately up, we start off. And if you have a meeting at 9, at 9:01, the meeting is actually going on. Yeah.
Well, at least we've become more efficient of anything, but it will be absolutely interesting to see what happens with the future of the workplace. I know that you are very tuned in to what that's going to be, and to obviously offer and really help the needs of your designers and architects out there. But I know that BuzziSpace always leads with design, and that's exactly why, you know, you're so respected in the market. And Steve, I like to say thank you so much for your time today. It was really great to hear about Buzzy Planter and Buzzy Jet standing. And certainly we want our audience to look towards BuzziSpace for your new introduction. So thank you for being here.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Product Live. I'm Rebecca Thienes. I'm the market editor at Interior Design, and Product Live is our series where we get to delve into the trends that are grabbing the industry and a chance to meet the minds behind the design. So today I'm really glad to welcome Ginger Gilbert. Ginger is the Vice President of Product Design and Development at Bentley Mills. Ginger, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Us.
I wonder if we could just start with a brief overview of Bentley Mills. I know that you guys recently celebrated 40 years in business, founded in 1979 in California. So perhaps you could just talk about Bentley a little bit and then what you do there.
Yeah, so like you said, Bentley started in 1979, and we started here in Southern California, and we still reside here in Southern California. We're kind of last man standing out here. But because of that, the company has really embraced a unique culture, and we're kind of set up in a way that we're almost like a boutique mill. We're small enough to be very flexible. We're also, because of our heritage here in California and our LA roots, you know, we've always been focused on sustainability from the day we started. So sustainability and design, and then just culture of how our marketing team markets, it's all kind of tied into one. And we've been lucky enough to have leadership throughout Bentley's long career here in California that we've been able to kind of push the envelope a little bit more. It is, I will say, it's hard when you have all the other carpet mills on one coast and we're on another, but in a way it's a little liberating because we can just kind of forge down our own path. So that's been very exciting. So we've had some wonderful people working here at Bentley, people who have been here 30 plus years, still remain here at Bentley. And so that kind of makes Bentley who we are. So there's almost like a family pride to our products that everyone has an eye on. So we're very excited to still be able to stay here.
That's fantastic. Well, of course, we're here to talk about your new collections. So let's get into that. I know it's called Invisible Visionaries, which is a bit of a tongue twister. So hopefully I say it correctly.
I'll mess it up at one point. That's okay.
So the specific products are Allegro and Interlude, so that gives us a little taste of what's to come. But I wonder if you could talk about your inspiration for this collection.
Yeah. You know, it's a little bit of a long story. I'll try to make it short. Bentley's always been known kind of as a little higher end aesthetic. You know, we're not known for education carpet or healthcare carpet, wellness carpet. And that's something that when we go back into our orders, we have a lot of education products and wellness projects that we've been specified on. So we wanted to make sure that we addressed that need, especially right now. And so when we decided to do something for Neocon, we said, well, let's create like a suite of products that has different price points and different installation requirements. And so that's what we did. We created a group of 5 products, and you know, as we were trying to decide what those were going to be, we landed on 5, and then said, let's kind of research who else has to design the way we have to do for all these performance levels and all these price points. And so we started researching. I think we looked at the automobile industry, and being here in LA, we looked at set design, production, that type of thing. That seemed kind of obvious, but it led us to the ballet, which is, you know, a little off path. But we started looking at costume design, and there are some amazing costume designers: Holly Hines, Paul Tazaway, Mark Happel. Mark Happel is the director of costumes for the New York City Ballet, and Holly Hines has worked with about every ballet. And then Paul, if anybody doesn't know Paul, Paul did all the amazing costumes for Hamilton, among other things. So he's amazing. So we started watching videos and looking at how they create, and it's very similar to designing carpet. You have to design for, let's say if you're doing the ballet, you have to design for a particular ballet, and that may be our brand on our end. You know, and then you have to design for whatever the character is or in that ballet. And you know, so we look at, you know, all the aesthetic things, but then also the performance. So that has to be like the dancer. So if you're designing a costume for Misty Copeland, who is super athletic, or Suzanne Farrell, you know, it's different. It's just different, and you have to design differently. And so we kind of found more parallels than we thought we would find.
Right.
So we kind of dove into that and looked at all the tools of their trade, and looked at all the textiles, since we were actually a textile for the floor. Looked at the textiles, and we had a lot of fun really manipulating those and seeing how they would work, and embracing the performance side. So if you look at Allegro, what we did is we took tulle and fishnet stockings. We started, you know, playing with all those and ripping them up, and really seeing how they get beat up during a performance, because as fragile and delicate as costumes have to be for the ballet, they have to go through just such a rigorous performance night after night after night, and dancer after dancer. So we had a lot of fun kind of, I'm not a fan of the word deconstructing, but kind of deconstructing. We were just, we abused all these beautiful, delicate fabrics and components. Right. And that's how we came up with Allegro. And then with Interlude, we really looked at Mark Happel with the New York City Ballet. He actually trained Daniel Day-Lewis for the Phantom Thread. So we actually watched that documentary and started looking at how they're pleating and stitching. And so that's how Interlude came about, is we actually looked at the energy and the movement of pleats as it's moving throughout a dance or a performance. So so those are the 2 products that we're launching first. So it's almost like an act 1. And then we have 3 other products that we will launch in different segments. So I think, you know, if we were going to Neocon, we would have probably launched all 5 at the same time. What we thought is it's a little more digestible to launch just a couple at a time. So we're kind of creating an act 1, and act 2, and an act 3.
Oh, I love that. What gives us a little bit to look forward to. So we have a preview with Interlude and Allegro, and then we have more to come. So.
Yes, we do.
So, I mean, speaking to the design community, I'm sure there are a lot of details that go into the construction. What kind of materiality do you seek out? And we were talking so much about performance, so it has to look great, but it has to perform well. So what kinds of baked in details do you have in this design?
Yeah, so, you know, everybody wants that really beautiful high-end aesthetic, but they wanted it to perform, you know, like it was, you know, a rock. So we kind of took all of that into play. And, you know, the first 2 products are color point products, and that's a wonderful machine to work on. It allows us to place color and pattern just the right way. So really, I mean, honestly, all the manufacturers have pretty much the same machines. So it's all the separate components, to your point. And so we use type 6/6 nylon. And we use for this particular project, we actually used a mix of Vista Antron, and then Universal, so that we had different. Every fiber has a different asset. So one, maybe it's clearer color. So when in the products that we need to have clearer color, we use one or the other. And then one is maybe a little more innovative, and you're able to do more yarn processing and create new processes. So that's what we did, is we really played with yarn processing and making sure that we were able to get pile heights that were low enough to really perform, but still give that beautiful texture that Bentley's known for.
Right. And do the patterns themselves lend themselves to different environments, or some kind of more for larger scale projects and some more for maybe a smaller area, or how do you kind of approach?
Yeah, they do. So of the 5 products that we've been working on for Invisible Visionaries, we have, these 2 are the largest patterns. So they're kind of the wow runway patterns. Okay. And then we have 3 more textures, and one is more, kind of that bread and butter go everywhere product. And then one is kind of a mid-range texture. And then the other one is built to be a very high-end product that you would use in maybe executive areas or conference rooms. So we wanted to look at it through the designer's eyes, because we don't want to create green animals and say, here's your plate of products. But we did want to create a variety of products where the designers could use the same collection in just different areas, and not have to go out in search of colors that would not work with one another. So we wanted to keep the designer in mind and really create that suite of products.
The colors that you mentioned, the images that I've seen, it's very graphic. It's blacks, whites, grays. Is that kind of throughout the collection, and is that also a nod to kind of the dramatic arts, or where were you going with that?
We did. We started with the usual suspects, the black, the white, and the gray, and we went there first. But then we didn't necessarily go. Everybody was expecting a pink. We didn't go there. We actually went and looked at all the costumes. If you look at all the costumes, they're very beautiful. There's a lot of very beautiful satins and velvets and brocades. And so we went to all the components of costumes and looked, and there's, beautiful olive greens, and we see a lot of blues. So we have a lot of blues, and you're going to see that as they go through the products, as we launch them. Some will be different values. So you'll have some that are a brighter blue, and then some that are very grayed out and beautifully kind of chameleon blues that can go anywhere.
Love that. So we've got color to look forward to. There's 12 colorway turtles, so I'm sure there's some surprises coming.
We've had fun with this. We didn't want to, especially with Allegro and Interlude, there's so much pattern going on. We really didn't want to go crazy with color, because we wanted the patterns to be able to speak for themselves. There's a lot there, but then we wanted to be able to carry color through the ones that maybe are just textures. So very excited about that. And we're excited about this product. With Visible Visionaries. See, there you go, I messed it up. Looking at, we don't normally hear costume designers' names, and and honestly, the normal person wouldn't know Diane Hahn or Reyes Barraza, but they're the designers who did these products. So we kind of wanted to really put that out there, that we understand that there's a lot of designers and architects out there who they're invisible visionaries. They are the ones who, are out there putting their blood, sweat, and tears into a project. And, the normal person that walks into an office or a hotel, they don't know who did that project. So, we really wanted to embrace that, and embrace, not only the people who create these things, but also those projects where they don't get a lot of praise, or the products that don't get a lot of praise. We do have a product in the line that is just a very low texture. It's not a wow product, but it's that product that will go everywhere. So it's kind of that.
I love that. Well, so behind the scenes is very important, and we need to applaud those people as much as those that are kind of in the center. So I just wonder, like, quickly, is there anything that you hope to tackle in the near future? Any products that are kind of coming to mind in these times that we're finding ourselves in that you're hoping to get into?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we do a lot in wellness. It's just we're not when you first think of wellness, we're not that go-to brand. And so, you know, we want people to realize that we do put a lot of thought, a lot of research into each product that we do. So whether it is K through 12 or wellness, so we're gonna really highlight that this year, and show that we do have that product, and show that I want to embrace the fact that product can be value, but it can also be beautiful. Those are the harder products to work on, but they're the most rewarding. And I think they're the most appreciated at the end of the day by our designers and architects, because, you know, you do want to specify in an area where maybe you don't have a high budget, you do want to specify something beautiful. So that's something that we're going to really focus on this year, is making sure, again, that we have suites of products that work well at different price points. And then the designers can use them where they want to use them, as long as we build them correctly. So.
Right, correct. Well, thank you so much, Ginger. I just want to thank you for joining us and for giving us an overview of Invisible Visionaries, the new collection of commercial carpets from Bentley. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and to please join us again next time for Product Live. Thank you.
Hey everybody, this is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design Magazine. I am very excited to chat today with 3form. You all know them, the leading manufacturer of award-winning sustainable building materials and architectural hardware solutions for you, the A&D industry. And today, I'm talking about new product, innovation, and sustainability with the VP of Design and Marketing, Christian Darby. Hi, Christian.
Hi, how are you doing, Cindy?
Great. And the Director of Sustainability, Mike Johnson.
Hey, Cindy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah.
Very well, thank you.
I mean, strange days, right?
I know. We're in definitely interesting and very strange times.
Yeah.
But, you know, we miss you guys at NeoCon, right?
I know. We were so disappointed. We had everything planned, and we were so excited. It's a show we love. Yeah. So you know, next year.
I know it's kind of impossible to wrap your head around as we're talking on Zoom that we're actually not going to have NeoCon, because it's so ingrained in our history and in our industry.
Yeah, I mean, it is it's strange times. We were talking about it the other day, and we're seeing this cultural shift to this camera, right. Zoom connection. It's weird.
I know.
But we're still connected. We're all still connected. That's
great. We're definitely still connected. And the funny thing is that in some ways we'll be closer after this conversation than we actually will if we were on the NeoCon floor with 1 million people running around, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we get this little one-on-one time.
I know. Well, you do have some really, really exciting launches that are happening right now. So we're going to talk about that. So we're going to act like we're at NeoCon right now.
Perfect.
And so let's start with new product, because the designers and architects, they're craving it.
Yeah.
And I know you have 2 introductions. Let's start with Fleck. Tell us about Fleck.
So Fleck has been about a 5-year process of innovation. 3form has always been quite innovative in nature.
Absolutely.
And when we make our sheet materials, we always have a little bit of trim. We have to square everything up and clean it up. And it's been bothering us that trim material goes into our recycling stream. And we've just felt like we could do better with that. And so about 5 years ago, we started with this process of figuring out what we could do with it. In short, we figured out that we can grind it up. And then we worked in collaboration with another company to develop an optical sorter. So it has a little eye in it. The chips run in front of that eye, and it can start to sort, and it can take out the material that we can recycle and the material that we can't recycle. As you know, with our Varia product, we have inner layers, textiles, organics, all these amazing materials.
Gorgeous.
They can't be and they can't be recycled. So we had to remove those and then get back that material that we could recycle. Once we did that, we took it and figured out, we played with a number of different ways on how we could use it. And we started putting it in our presses and creating little sample sheets. And then from there, we started getting it bigger and bigger. And we've created this amazing new material that takes 100% of our recycle stream and puts it back into a beautiful sheet. We call it Fleck.
Yeah, so how exciting is that when obviously there's a lot of development, right? A lot of product development. And as you said, years of it. But when you start getting closer, that must be really exciting. And Mike, since you're the sustainable guy, you're probably like, what are we doing with all this stuff that we're not using, right?
You know, I think one of the most exciting things to add to what Christian said, it's not only about taking what was formerly known as waste and turning it into a beautiful new process. It's also about reducing the amount of impact from the original source, right? Because to have trim, you have to have product to begin with. And that product has environmental impact built into it. So when we're able to reduce the size of our trim and therefore reduce the size of our initial inputs, we reduce the overall impact from the very get-go. So we're reducing impacts from the very beginning and then all the way through the process and all the way through the end. And that to me is really exciting. Yeah, we're netting impact reduction all the way along the way.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Super.
And you know, we think about 3form definitely as a design company. So you also know that whatever it is that you do, design has to be the end result. And this product is really, really exciting.
Yeah, there's no question, Cindy. Everything we do has to look beautiful. And so we can't take waste stream and sort of make it more waste stream. We have to figure out how do we upcycle it, make it more beautiful, make it appealing to this amazing design community that we serve.
Yeah, and so it looks like terrazzo, right? So you have all these chips, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the process of how that works now.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, Cindy, that you say terrazzo. Yeah, I have some. I'm gonna show you a little bag. But what's kind of fun about this is actually our working title was terrazzo. And we just could see like, okay, there's this beautiful tie, but we take all these little chips and you can see it's such an amazing random mix. And we figured out that as we run it through this optical sorting machine, it can start to sort. And I'm going to show you another one.
Yeah, I want to see.
So we started playing with like, okay, what happens if we sort to just blue? So isn't that amazing? We sorted to blue.
Gorgeous.
And then we said, okay, what if we just sort to red? And then we took that red and we started putting it in material.
Goodness. That's
Isn't that amazing?
Gorgeous. Put it all the way up. Put it all the way up. Yeah. Wow. Gorgeous.
Isn't that amazing? And then we started playing with like, I'm going to switch them out. So we said, okay, what happens if we put 10% of the Fleck color with the clear? And then here you can see like 25%. So we started it's 100% recycled Fleck, but we can control the amount of clear versus the amount of color.
Is that something that's an option for designer?
Well, here's what happened. We started to see that, okay, for us to sort this, we sort in this blue. I'm going to hold it up close. See, it's all just amazing tones of blue. We figured out that we sorted 1 ton of material and we got enough material to make 2 sheets of blue. So we started seeing, if a designer comes and says, I want orange, okay, it might take us 3 months to sort enough to find the right amount of orange. What we put in is what we can get out. And so from there we said, well, 3form has this amazing color system, 250 colors in our system that we can start to apply. And what happens if we start to apply color to a more neutral fleck?
Right.
Isn't that amazing? There's a little pink and there's a little blue. So then it gives us total control over the color.
And then and is that how the word fleck kind of came to be then?
Yeah, because we're kind of, it's that moving from terrazzo. We knew we couldn't call it terrazzo because it would just be confusing.
Right.
But you start looking at fleck and you're like, we're taking all these amazing fleck that has this history of 3form. Some of it may come from a Beargrass organic, some of it may come from a linen textile, and we're taking all these little flecks and putting it into a new sheet. And then we control the color through our system.
So Mike, tell us on the sustainability front, kind of explain the pros to all of this.
Yes, Cindy, that's a great question. I'm going to sum it up with one quick statement, and that is optimized EPDs. I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but this is entirely exciting. It essentially means we were able to take where we started from, which was great already. We started with 40% recycled content way back 16 years ago.
Right.
And today we're able to have a hugely increased recycled content from a closed loop source, go back and restudy our Varia product, come back out with an optimized EPD based partially on the savings we just spoke about. So it's literally a win-win-win. It's a win across our primary platform, our flagship product, all the way down to this new specialized product. And it's just a really exciting time from product development when we can talk openly and actively about pursuing regenerative and restorative products. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And the palette is so beautiful. Actually, the palette that you're showing is so beautiful.
Sure.
And then I also saw it in, are you developing these screens or is that a sample? I see these beautiful sort of divider screens.
Oh yeah. Yes, we are. We're absolutely. So we have this amazing collection of hardware systems. One of those is Il-20, and that's this screen hardware system that allows us to put these beautiful panels into the hardware system and then now go crazy. Now the designers really can leverage that. One of the things, Cindy, that Mike said is when Mike tells me win, 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 and we can add win from design, it's like, how do you go wrong, right? Because we're winning on Mike's side, but we're also winning on that design side, and it's just really amazing.
Yeah, of course. Well, you got to make Mike happy. I can tell already. We need to make him happy.
Mike's
very wise. Very, very wise, Cindy. You're quick.
Mike's great to work with, but when we make him happy, everybody's happy.
I can see that. And then
it's a lot happier place.
Yeah. And then I love that the other collection actually is very tied to this. So sort of explain where one stops and the other starts.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So you can imagine if I take this original sort and you can see all the kind of fun little different pieces in that, when we go through the optical sorter and we sort to what we need, this really beautiful curated color span that we need for fleck, there's a lot of material that we sort out that can be recycled that we're not using in fleck. And what we started this.
Sorry, what percentage is that?
Yeah, we can recapture about 50% of it that can be used for fleck. And then there's about 50, well, there's probably 5% that, and again, I'm guessing, but there's probably about 5% that is like the textiles and the organics that we don't recycle. So those go out. And then there's about 40% that we can capture and say, okay, we're not using it in fleck, but we can use it in some of these other products. So one of those products is if we can get to a beautiful white, a really beautiful matte white, and then we can also take all the mix of colors and get this really kind of interesting dark gray color, and we add a little bit of dye to it to get this really uniform matte black. Now we have this amazing material that we can start to use in other ways. One of those ways is additive manufacturing. So we are using additive manufacturing to print lights for our light art sister company. And it's been just a fun, amazing process. We're also using it in an additive manufacturing process in some of our hardware for 3form. So that's something we're exploring and discovering right now.
Okay, so that's the other thing. So, all right. So now you created Fleck, really excited, but you still have some stuff here over on the side. And you're like, come on now, we can do, like, it's sort of kind of, once you open up that door to be really creative and do good for the planet, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you created another amazing collection. And Mike, what did you think about that one?
Well, I wanted to add again because Christian did such a great job, but one thing that's absolutely critical to also know is one of the major problems we have in recycling, especially in our industry, is everybody now is so rightfully concerned about the health of the ingredients that go in. When you take a mixed recycling stream, which is commonly available out there, you have no control over the contamination of that recycled stream. We have total control. We know what comes into us. We maintain control of our strep, and then we come back and we have control going into what goes into it next. So we can essentially certify these materials are red list free all the way through the entire process because we own the process. Right. It's ours. And that to me is amazing, you know. And I love that you said we're kind of doing the earth a favor. You know, I think it's interesting because really what we're finally ending up doing is we're able to mimic what the planet does. The planet wastes nothing, zero waste.
I love that.
The planet abhors waste. We're emulating that. We're getting better. We're gonna get even better than we already have.
I love that. So so let's not forget. So it's called the Coil Collection, right?
Yeah,
and
that's right.
We love our friends at Light Art.
Oh yeah.
They're in Seattle, right?
They are, yeah.
They're in Seattle. Such good friends. I made a light once there in their factory.
Oh yeah. That's pretty
warmed
fun.
it up and molded it. Yeah, such good folks. But by the way, this collection is gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. They look like sculptures. The idea of the mat is very, very exciting to me. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how this product was developed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, you know, it all started with the material. And really, when you think about 3form and Light Art and our family of brands, our vision for material is this. It's, can we not get to a place where we have zero waste, where we have 100% closed loop manufacturing? And so once we had this beautiful base material, the other side of the Fleck, then we started experimenting and starting to play with shape and form, texture, matte, gloss. And if you could see the working, you know, the design table at Light Art, you would see dozens and dozens of experiments. What does the scale look like? What's the right form factor? How big, how small, then the finish. So we got to this place and we started, you know, of course, Ryan Smith driving all of it from Light Art, started playing. Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, he's just amazing. And so he and his team started playing with what is the right form. They experimented, then they started, as we all do in design, started editing down to these are the right form factors. One of the things I love about the Coil Collection is they look like ceramic to me.
They look like ceramics.
Isn't it amazing?
Like ceramics.
So we've taken this material that was once waste, we've put it back in, closed the loop, and then created this beautiful ceramic-like light fixture with all the modern technology that can come with LED and the electronics and the controlling it. I know they moved to a more eco-friendly cabling and wiring and cording system. So all of it has been considered to get this amazing finished product.
You know what I love? I love that it looks like ceramics. You know, a lot of times when something kind of looks like something else, the thing that's something else is usually the problem. But you know what I mean? It's like the other version of it but this is something else that's also really, really good for the environment. And it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's right. I want to add on to what Christian just said there, just to clarify, when he says environmentally responsible cabling, Light Art, through this aligned effort that we have, this vision that we have, we were the first lighting manufacturer to actually go outsource and create PVC-free cabling because it's just so important. So we're leading the charge, and believe me, it's been an effort. We've had our setbacks, but we continue to lead that charge. We also led TGIC-free powder coating in our fixtures. We're looking at high efficiency lighting. So everything that we're doing, we're really looking at it through a full lens across the Reform family of companies to make sure we're doing things really, really properly and beautifully and functionally.
Which one was the real like problem child of those that you were just mentioning?
Oh, the problem children, you mean? There's so many problem children. I'll be honest with you. One of the hardest things that we do, and most manufacturers face today, is really trying to get full and accurate ingredient information from the worldwide supply chain that shifts all the time.
Right.
So getting to that net result where we can say, yes, this is red list free, and yes, we control it, and yes, we can trust it. That's not easy. But there's other problem children along the way, like switching to that PVC cabling.
Yeah.
That requires UL rating, right? So we have to go back and get all those UL rated again and check to make sure they're going to be safe. And then we have to make the supply occur and so on and so forth. It's an uphill battle, but it's a worthwhile one.
Yeah, definitely. And so we're talking a lot about sustainability, which is fantastic. Yeah. Mike, tell us about the bigger initiative that you all are calling Align.
Yeah, so Align came about because 3Form joined with Light Art and then joined with EFI. And what we quickly realized is that, through no ill intent, we came at sustainability from 3 different angles and 3 different levels. And so we really needed to encompass all the companies and all the employees' efforts into one focus. So that focus is really with 3 pillars. It's people, it's product, and it's planet. We have to look out for all 3 because if we miss any of those marks, we're either not going to be profitable or functional. And if we miss people and planet, well, what's the point, right?
Right.
We're in troubling times, as you know. Sustainability is more important than ever. So we have really put so much effort in all of our history, but now more than ever, into sustainably sourced and developed and managed materials.
So the three P's, and it's something that you all are taking very, very seriously.
Absolutely. I mean, people, product, and planet, you really can't operate responsibly in the world as a manufacturer without considering all 3. And I could go into an hour-long dissertation on what exactly we're doing, but I think I can sum it up pretty quickly for you. And I can sum it up by saying that right now, as I speak to you, unexpectedly 2 weeks ago when we were talking about this, we're literally in the perfect storm from a sustainability standpoint. We have a pandemic, which is going to make us think very carefully about how we go back and how we design workplaces. We have now climate change accelerating at an ever accelerating pace without controls on it. And now we have obvious social inequities around the world. So sustainability really has to take all 3 of those very seriously, into focus, look to the future and say, how can we not only stop the damage that is necessary by operations? There's going to be impact from our operations. However, if we're serious about it, we measure it, we validate it, then we can reduce it, then we can do what's called hand printing. Hand printing allows us to overcome those and eventually, hopefully in the very near future, become manufacturers of net positive products. That means when we manufacture something, the earth is left in better condition, people are healthier, we know we've done a great job, and we've got a beautiful product line. So there's an exciting future, and it's cool to be on a team that is so on board with all of it.
One thing that occurs to me as you're talking about it is that, how much the architects and the designers really care about this. So one thing is to continue to educate them, right? And then also to empower them to make
the EU. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is education. So for the past 6 years, a huge amount of my time has been spent going around and talking to architects, designers, students, contractors, all about sustainability. How can we advance this cause? But how can we also do it in a way that's scientifically valid, measurable, and verifiable? And those 3 things are really critical. We don't ever want to go back to the greenwashing days of the early 2000s. That was a nightmare, right?
Oh boy, I remember those days well.
Yeah.
We're like, we can't be the judge and jury of all this. It was just very complicated for us as editors too, to know what anybody was talking about it really meant, and it was crazy.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say, now we're looking at ways to make sure that we can not only communicate that, educate our folks and our employees as well. We want our own employees to be very active in sustainability. And we're teaching them how. We have a green week every single year. We're going into our 17th annual green week this year. So we've been doing just a tremendous amount of education and outreach. But when you get something in your hands that's like Fleck or like coil, or even our biophilic interlayers, it connects you back to nature. It lets you know, it makes you remember what's really important that's beyond the office environment. And then when you can look at the certifications behind that, you can feel really good about products that you're buying. And I hope and believe, and I challenge all manufacturers to come on board with us.
Yes, I would imagine that as a company, all of these initiatives are really, because you're making so many things, that it really brings everybody together. And so the message becomes that much stronger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Cindy, when Mike talks about Green Week, once a year, we have a whole week where we focus as a company on all these initiatives, and we learn, we bring in speakers that help us understand what's happening in this industry as well as in other industries. So it's a really nice opportunity. And then it helps us become an example to the industry on how we think material manufacturing and product manufacturing should look in the future.
And so can I ask you, I know you probably don't want to tell me, but like, so you have these two big initiatives.
Yeah.
I feel terrible that I can't see it in person. I cannot wait to feel coil.
Yeah.
Can't wait to feel.
Oh, it's amazing.
Right. But what happens after that? Are other things in the works right now that I'm sure you can't tell me?
Yeah, of course. But then we'll have to, have another conversation.
Kill me.
But yeah, but honestly, we think that Fleck is the beginning of this path for us. It's not the end of the path. And we really see all material manufacturing needs to fit into this closed loop world. And so for us, it's the beginning. We're working on, right now, we kind of have this working title of Fleck 2.0. It won't look like Fleck, but we're taking the process and applying it to another new material. And then, as I mentioned before, coil is the beginning of the other side of that material sorting process. And at 3form, we're starting to use that material for some of our hardware applications. And we're starting to see, hey, it can be a beautiful light, but it could also be a beautiful piece of hardware for us. So it's really the beginning, and we think we're on an exciting path.
Can I tell you something? I typically don't ask that question. And I asked that question because I was excited, because you could see that it's the jumping off point to so many other things.
Yeah, there's no question. It's the start. Yeah. And it's a start that took us, the start happened 5 years ago. And now we're at the public start, the start that we can all see, and we can share this vision of closed loop manufacturing, and how not only can we do it, which is a pretty big accomplishment, but we can also make it look beautiful. It's beautifully designed. It has design intent into it. And that's so important, because if it doesn't look beautiful, then where are we?
Exactly. Well, I am positive that the architects and designers, the whole community, is going to be really, really behind you, really excited about it. Hey, wanting to specify it for sure, because they're going to love it. At the end of the day, designers have to love it, and they are. And for sure. I don't know, I'm feeling very aligned with you, Christian and Mike, and 3form, because of their beautiful products that are nourishing the planet. So a big hug, virtual hug to all of you. And I wish I could be in front of you for NeoCon, but we'll have to catch up in 2021, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sydney. That's so nice of you. That's encouraging, and we're excited. And again, I think Mike and I both wish we were at NeoCon and we were in front of one another. But, we'll look to the future. It'll be fun.
Exactly. We'll always remember that we had this Zoom time together with 3form, right, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the building of a better future at that.
Exactly. Exactly. Good.
No question.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Thank you, Cindy.
Take care. You guys were amazing. Thanks.
Oh, thank you
very much.
It was so fun.
Good energy out to the world. Good energy out to the world.
Absolutely.
You're here.
All right.